This happened to me last Friday. I'm currently in my senior year in college. I have some pretty good GRE scores, but I want to really make a stellar statement of purpose before applying to my dream school, the Carnegie Mellon, for an MS in computational biology. Fingers crossed, guys. As both my younger sister and I are currently home from school on winter break, and she may possibly be the loudest person to ever exist, I typically sequester myself away in the library with a large Duncan. This is needed. My strong suit lies in mathematics and not writing, so I need all the brain power I can get. You might be saying, what is she doing on Reddit? Write your essay, bitch! But I need a break or I'll go crazy, guys. I get to the library and head to my normal spot, which nobody seems to know about. Second floor, tucked in the corner, good Wi-Fi near a cozy heater, and no windows to distract me with an enticing view. Except there's someone sitting at my table. I mutter a sorry and turn to walk away. The man stops me, claiming I can share his table. There didn't seem to be a lot of open spots downstairs, so I accepted. About 30 minutes had passed in silence when he suddenly asked what I'm so intently working on, so I explained. He chuckles and says, "A girl with a brain? You shouldn't be wasting all your time at school though. You're too pretty." Which, ew, I don't really feel like debating this, so I just awkwardly laugh. He goes on to explain how if he had a woman who was so smart, he would never let her leave the house for fear she might discover something better. I ignore this. He then says something really weird. "Has anyone ever told you you look like Dag?" Huh? What do you mean? I ask. The Dag from Mad Max. It takes me a few seconds to process this. I have honestly had a couple of friends text me after seeing the movie and tell me they see some resemblance. But I'm not going to participate in this conversation. No, short, blunt, and to the point. We continue on in silence. At this point, I've chalked up the afternoon as a loss. My concentration is shot to shit, and I won't be able to focus anymore with this creep here. I fake a phone call cause society tells me to be polite, and I still have trouble not doing so. Huh, how funny. My mom needs me to come home in the middle of the day. I gather my stuff and nod to the man. I walk to the car and curse when I realize I left my flash drive on the table. Worried the guy might have taken it, I rush back, and the flash drive is there, but he's gone. Weird. Well, if it's gone and my table is open, I guess I'll stay. 5 minutes later, I'm all engrossed back in my work. Here's something important. Not being able to find any hair ties. Seriously, where did they go? Anyways, I simply stuck my hair up on my head with a big old claw clip. So there's me, typing on my laptop when I suddenly feel my hair tumble down my head and a hand squeeze it. I turn around to see the man who doesn't let go of my hair. "I could start a set with you," he mutters, a sickening grin on his face. Friends, if you need to scream bloody murder and want to make sure you're heard, a library is a good place to do it. I didn't think, just screamed. About 10 patrons and a librarian came running up. I instantly started crying only to have the man say, "My girlfriend and I got in a fight." The security guard separated us, and upon hearing my side of the story, the man was kicked out of the library. The guard took me to my car. I'm still really freaked out about this one, but I'll get over it. As the Dag would say, he was a total schlanger. First time poster, not really a long time viewer. You get the drill. I've never told this story to anyone except my brother, but I guess the whole event has blown over by now. Back in 2009, I lived in the greater Cleveland, Ohio area. I was really into this card game called Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is also an anime TV show. It's your standard fighting / deck building card game, but that's beside the point. I used to go to Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments with my older brother at my local game shop, and there were a fair share of odd people. Most of the people who went weekly had nicknames because that's what it was like on the TV show. My brother got the nickname Igloo because he played a penguin deck and he was super pale. I always wanted a nickname as well. One time, I went to the tournament without my brother. I played this guy whose nickname was the Mermaid. The Mermaid was relatively short, heavyset, and usually very quiet. From the moment we started the game, I knew he was strange. He kept telling me how good I was at the game, how he liked my dice set, just generally weird things unrelated to the game. I lost the first game, and he was pretty pleased with himself for beating a 13-year-old, but I wasn't gonna whine about it. The second game, I absolutely crushed him, and he seemed pretty pissed. Right before we started the third game, things got uncomfortable. How about we make a wager or something? He talked very quietly as he held my hand in a very tight grip. You mean for cards? I replied, breaking free from his hand. If I win, I'll drive you home. He spoke softly. And if you win, I'll buy you a booster pack. I wasn't a stupid kid. There was no way I was gonna get into a stranger's car. Before I could say anything, the owner of the store came over to our game and asked him what he was doing. The Mermaid went silent. The owner whispered in my ear, "If he gives you any more trouble, come to me and I'll kick him out for good." I won the third game, thus kicking him out of the tournament. He left right after the game. After he was gone, I asked the owner why he was called the Mermaid. "Oh, him? His first name's Ariel, like in the Little Mermaid. It started as a joke, and it just sort of turned into his name." I thought nothing of it until May 2013, when 3 girls escaped the house of a Cleveland man who had been keeping them in captivity for years. His name was Ariel Castro, and I could have been one of the girls. When I was 16 years old, it was a very low point in my life, and I ended up getting hospitalized for 4 months over the summer. The doctors were afraid that my heart would give out if I even did so much as walk, so if I wanted to go anywhere, I had to call a nurse to take me in a wheelchair. My mom and dad visited me every day, not always together. Whenever my mom came alone, she would take me out in a wheelchair to the beach access behind the hospital so I could get some fresh air and look at the lake. One day, my mom had come by to visit and she took me out to the beach as usual. While we were waiting for the elevator down from the ward, a man stopped my mom and me.
"Your daughter has such a beautiful black hair."
The way he said it gave me the willies, kind of in a Buffalo Bill-esque, "I want to wear it" way. My mom thanked him and chatted a bit, but I just looked the other way and ignored him. I could feel his eye on me though. We all pile into the elevator. As soon as the door closed, I feel something tugging at my hair. I glance over and realize that the guy is playing with my hair. I'm pretty creeped out here, but I don't want to cause a scene just in case he has a mental disorder and can't help himself, so I just leaned over as far as I could in the wheelchair so that he couldn't reach me without alerting my mom. Anyway, we reach the bottom, get off, and my mom and I start wheeling over to the beach while the guy just stands by the elevator and watches us go. I told my mom what he did, and she said she would make sure to do something if we ever saw him again. After that, we kept seeing him, always by the elevator. He'd make a comment about how beautiful my hair is. My mom would nod politely. We'd go in the elevator and he'd try to play with my hair, but my mom would move in the way. We'd get off and he'd watch us roll out. Creepy? Yes, but we decided he was harmless. That is until about a month later. We went down to the beach as usual, and this time we didn't see him by the elevator, but we didn't think much of it. At some point, my mom had to use the restroom, and it was mutually decided I was old enough to take care of myself for 3 minutes. I was sitting in the wheelchair looking out at the lake and enjoying the sun when I started getting pushed. Thinking it was mom, I turned around to ask for 5 more minutes. Nope, not my mom. Nope. It's the fucking guy. He's pushing me towards the bushes, and the look on his face is predatory. I scream, but the only people out there are in a canoe out in the water. So I make a decision. I decide, if I'm going to die, I'd rather it be heart failure than this dude. So I get up out of the wheelchair and start legging it towards the restrooms. I look behind me to see if he's following, and fortunately he's not. He's just standing by the wheelchair looking shocked. I guess he thought I was paralyzed? I make it back to my mom, who'd run out of the toilet upon hearing me scream. We both look back and the guy is running away like he's got a rocket up his ass. My mom carried me on her back to the wheelchair, then we rushed to inform the hospital staff. They put a watch out, and for the next month, there's security hanging around the elevator on my floor, but he never came back. So creep, who preys on the sick and disabled, go fuck yourself, and I hope no one ever sees you again. Little bit of background, I'm a 22-year-old female and I just moved to a small town from a big city with my dad. We moved into our house in early October 2015 and we were having problems with a leaky shower in the bathroom adjacent to mine, so my dad called a plumber to come take a look. The plumber arrived around 8 AM the following day while I was getting ready for work in my bathroom. My dad let him in, so I hadn't gotten a good look at him. My dad then apparently goes down the street to gas up his car and then go to work, leaving the plumber to do his job in the bathroom. Now, my bathroom is just a toilet and vanity, with door leading into a shared shower room that has another door leading into my dad's bathroom. So while I was getting ready, there was only a door between me and the plumber. I guess he figured out that there was a lady in the house due to my hairdryer. Next thing I know, my bedroom door is opening and closing and there's a very tall, very wide, very terrifying man with more legs than teeth locking my door from the inside behind him. He then walks 5 feet towards me and stops in front of my bathroom door. I freeze. He stands there staring at me for the longest 30 seconds of my life. He hits me with the widest, untoothiest grin and literally looks me up and down multiple times. I hear the front door open and close, not knowing then that my dad had forgotten his wallet, and the plumber pivots one foot in a twirly motion and unlocks my door and walks out. My dad runs into my room asking if that guy had really just been in here and goes to run after him, but the guy walked right into his truck and left without fixing our shower. So my dad immediately calls the company we hired the plumber from and he asks them to send someone else, anyone but the toothless guy that had sent originally, and he tries to explain what happened to the manager. The manager proceeds to tell my dad that it was our fault that the man locked himself in my room with me because I didn't lock him out of the room in the first place. Oh, sorry, I didn't know I needed to lock myself away in order to not be creeped on by a supposed professional. Just terrifying to think what would have happened if my dad didn't forget his wallet. This is a story that I've heard from multiple members of my family. It didn't happen to me personally, but I have no reason to disbelieve what I've been told. I don't know the exact timeline or any details about the case, but I know that it's definitely true. I had an aunt who lived in Cleveland, Ohio, and worked for some agency helping convicted criminals rebuild their lives after getting out of jail. I don't know the name of the place she worked, but I know they were involved in the employment of felons as well as lower criminals. My aunt worked directly with the clients, finding out what kinds of things they were qualified to do, what skills they might have, what they enjoyed, and that kind of thing. She had a lot of experience talking to people who had done some terrible things in their lives, but she never judged them for it or assumed that they would continue with their criminality. The agency had a check for the clients to see if they were genuinely interested in changing their lives, so most of them really just wanted help in becoming legitimate. She had one client who had a very hard time with transportation. He didn't live anywhere near a bus station and therefore he had a hard time getting to and from the agency as well as to any job for that matter. In the months that my aunt worked with this man, they became friendly and at one point she offered them with transportation when she could. This is how she ended up picking him up and dropping him off at his house. I assumed that wherever they found a job for this guy was close to where my aunt worked, so she would just pick him up on the way home. She said he was always nice enough, kind of quiet and eccentric, but nothing too strange. At one point when she dropped him off, he invited her in for a drink or something, but their professional relationship disallowed her from doing so. After a while, this guy apparently got on his feet and left the agency, fending for himself. My aunt pretty much forgot about it afterwards. After some period of time, I'm not sure how long, perhaps anywhere from a few months to a year or two, my aunt sees the guy's face on the television. The police had stormed his house, I think after complaints from his neighbors, and they found a horror show inside. He had murdered something like 7 females, including young girls, and he hid them beneath the floorboards. According to forensics, his victims have been killed at different times, ranging from the very recent to before my aunt had known him. So basically, this guy was actively killing at the time she was driving him to and from his house. If anyone has any information about a killer like this from the Cleveland area, I would be interested in it because I honestly don't know any details. So, crazy killer guy who's probably rotting in prison, let's not meet. Hello everyone, I hope you well enjoyed the stories, and before I go, I've got a small request to make of you. I would really love to make videos based on your experiences, the subscribers, and I think the small community that we have on this channel would love that as well. So if you've got an experience that you would like to share with all of us, please write them up and send it over to me at mrcreepymaster1@gmail.com. I'll leave the email address in the video description, and you can also find it in the About section of my channel. Thanks for listening, and as always, stay safe.